Welcome back to the Hardware Unboxed News Corner, coming at you today on Thursday. Normally we push these videos out on a Friday, but there might just be some sort of review content going live tomorrow. Wonder what that could be. So yeah, we're going a day early with this one. Definitely subscribe if you haven't done so to make sure you don't miss tomorrow's video. Probably shouldn't talk too much more about that, so let's get into some of the news. Our big story from this week relates to the coronavirus outbreak that is currently plaguing the world. I'm sure everyone has heard about it now. It's one of the biggest global issues, and unfortunately it sounds like it's affecting many people, particularly those in China. Not going to talk about the virus itself or what it is, definitely not an expert in any of that stuff, and there's plenty of great sources online to learn about that if you want more information. What I am going to discuss though is how coronavirus is impacting the PC component market, because the virus outbreak is having pretty significant ramifications for component manufacturers based in the China region. From what we're hearing from several major companies, these issues will most likely flow down to consumers wanting to buy various components in the coming months, which, yeah, isn't great news for PC builders. So what has happened here? Well, the coronavirus has hit at the worst possible time for manufacturing in China. The country celebrated Lunar New Year at the end of January, so many factory workers took an extended break during this period, as is usual. How long this break lasts for depends on a variety of factors. Some companies have longer breaks than others, but this usually impacts companies for about a week. So it's well known that during the Lunar New Year period, yeah, you won't be doing too much business with China. But at the end of this break, coronavirus started to become progressively worse. So instead of factory workers returning to their jobs after New Year as per usual, companies and provincial governments have been advising workers not to return, or even preventing them in an attempt to stop the spread of the virus. This has led to manufacturing facilities being completely shut down for several weeks now, the first week being for the holiday, and then now we're seeing an extended period due to the virus. We've been told that manufacturing at most facilities will remain suspended until at least the end of this week, with the potential for that date to be pushed back if the coronavirus situation doesn't improve. So that's 2 to 3 weeks without manufacturing, and that could easily blow out to a month or more if factories remain shut down in key locations across China. Not every company has their facilities entirely located in China, but most rely on China in a significant way to produce their products. One company told us that while they did have manufacturing capacity in Taiwan, which hasn't been as hard hit as China, their facilities there wouldn't be nearly enough to keep up with global demand. Another told us that even if they could manufacture outside of China in significant volume, they'd be limited by component and even raw material supply that they normally source from China. The general sentiment among these companies is that manufacturing would be virtually impossible while China remains shut down like it is right now. The issue affects more than just manufacturing though. It's also impacting shipments, as workers throughout the shipment chain also remain at home. Several companies told us that they've been forced to delay resupply shipments to their warehouses around the globe because it's been too difficult or expensive to move stock out of China. So the issue is impacting both the manufacturing of new products and getting finished products onto store shelves worldwide. What does this all mean for people wanting to buy PC components? For anything that is in stock right now and in comfortable supply, not much. Retailers will continue to sell through whatever they have in their warehouses and hope the shutdown is lifted when it comes time to resupply. However, as supplies dwindle, if the shutdown continues, it's possible we'll see price hikes for the most in-demand products. The bigger issue is with anything not in strong supply right now. Products that are out of stock will remain that way for several more weeks from what we're hearing, and we expect continued delays on product availability. This has hit monitor manufacturers the hardest. From the companies we've been speaking to, several of their scheduled shipments to our region and others have been delayed considerably, which has kept in-demand items off shelves for longer than expected. Part of that is down to shipping prices going up considerably, which for large items like monitors has a big impact, and some companies are choosing to delay rather than pay those increased prices. There are, of course, plenty of other ramifications here. The delay has caused a few companies to struggle to launch their latest products in the time frame they were hoping for, especially those that were announced at CES. And it'll be interesting to see in general which products are affected, whether there are any long-term availability issues, will pricing increase as a result of higher shipping costs or lack of supply. Naturally, struggling to get PC components made and shipped isn't as bad as the virus itself. Lots of people in China are struggling with health issues, which is the primary concern here, and it's good that workers are being encouraged to stay at home rather than, get out there and spread the virus, but it will have an impact on the PC market throughout the early parts of the year. All right, enough about the coronavirus. Let's talk about the new Asus RX 5700 TUF EVO series. This has been an ongoing story we've been touching on here and there. It first started when we and other reviewers discovered that Asus's RX 5700 and 5700 XT TUF graphics cards were, well, complete garbage if I'm honest. There was limited GDDR6 cooling for the XT model and no memory cooling for the non-XT variant, which caused the card to run hot and loud, plus many user reports indicated stability issues. The issue was down to the design of the TUF cooler, which wasn't something that could be easily fixed. It was a fundamental design flaw with the cards, so Asus has basically had no choice but to launch a new TUF Gaming EVO series with an entirely new cooler design that provides adequate memory cooling plus a few other tweaks. These EVO cards will replace the older cards at the same MSRP. Aside from providing actual memory cooling capabilities, the new model has a different aluminium heatsink and an upgrade to Asus's Axial Tech fans, which increases downward air pressure. Clock speeds for both cards remain the same though. The 5700 gets a 1720 MHz game clock, while the 5700 XT is rated for 1795 MHz. While it's nice that Asus has addressed the major flaws with their TUF Gaming graphics cards, our understanding is there will be no upgrade plan in place for owners of existing TUF models. Some manufacturers of other defective products have offered an upgrade for those affected. Normally you have to send in the cards and they make the necessary changes before sending it back. But what we're hearing is that Asus won't be doing this for those people who bought the original TUF model, although it is possible that you will receive an EVO card if you need to submit an RMA, such as if your card has stability issues or is failing to work anymore. That's pretty disappointing from a company as large as Asus, but at the very least they won't be selling the old broken models for too much longer, so anyone buying an RX 5700 TUF EVO should be treated to a much better experience. Once we get our hands on these cards, expect Steve to dive into the changes and see how it performs. AMD has updated their game bundle, and I've got to be honest, not one of their most impressive offerings. Most of their GPUs in the lineup will continue to get 3 months of free Xbox Game Pass for PC, which is a nice inclusion, but the games on offer here are on the weaker side. The RX 5500 XT, RX 5500 and RX 5500M gets Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint and Resident Evil 3. The bundle also used to have Warcraft 3 Reforged, but given that game has been the worst reviewed PC game in history, it seems AMD has dumped this from the package going on the website as it stands right now. Resident Evil 3 shaping up to be decent. It launches on April 3rd, but Ghost Recon Breakpoint received mostly negative reviews. AMD isn't offering anything for buyers of the RX 5600 XT, their latest GPU product, not even 3 months of Game Pass according to the promotion page. However, AMD's existing offer for Game Pass with Radeon and Ryzen products remains at least through to March 10th, so 5600 XT buyers should still be eligible for the free Game Pass offer that is also available for Radeon 7, Vega and RX 500 series buyers. Meanwhile, if you are buying an RX 5700 or 5700 XT, you'll be getting Resident Evil 3 and Monster Hunter World Iceborne Master Edition. Yeah, that's a nice combination and a bit better than what the 5500 buyers are getting. As always, these promotions are only available at participating retailers and with participating OEMs. The bundle is set to run until April 25th, 2020 or until AMD runs out of stock. The usual sort of stuff there, so check to make sure your GPU is eligible if you want the bundle before you make a purchase. Nvidia has finally launched the official non-beta version of their GeForce Now game streaming service, which immediately looks miles better than Google Stadia. GeForce Now feels like it's been around for ages. It started out as Grid and then it progressed to Now in beta form back in 2018. And well, the final version is actually here. How does it work? Well, it's pretty straightforward and actually seems like decent value. Unlike Stadia, you don't have to purchase games again for the platform or have them locked to GeForce Now. Instead, now links with your existing game libraries and allows you to stream games you already own, provided GeForce Now supports them. Nvidia claims support for over 1,000 titles. However, some big releases like Red Dead Redemption 2 and anything from EA, for example, aren't supported right now. We also saw a few other titles in there as well, such as Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is a bit of a surprise it's not supported. It's an Nvidia RTX title, but that's also not available right now. Once you link up the games you own, you have the option of using either GeForce Now's free tier or the Founders tier, which costs $4.99 per month for the first 12 months, with the first 90 days free. The paid tier gives you priority access to sessions. GeForce Now only supports up to 600,000 simultaneous connections right now, so beyond that you have to queue, and the Founders tier gives you priority there. Session times are also longer if you pay, at 6 hours versus 1 hour, and you get the ability to play with ray tracing enabled. The free tier though still gives you access for a shorter time if you just want to stream on a more casual basis. GeForce Now uses Nvidia's Tesla GPUs for gaming, including the P40 and T10 models. Stream resolutions are limited to 1080p at 60 or 30 FPS for now, with no support for 4K yet. Nvidia recommends 50 megabits per second connections for 1080p 60 at the best quality. Aside from that, most of the stuff from the beta is still here, so us Aussies can't use the service yet, as there are only clusters in North America and Europe, with a few partners using Now technology in other regions. However, you can access game streams on PCs, TVs, and mobile devices, as well as Chromebooks later in 2020. Game streaming, personally, it isn't my thing, but this seems like a reasonable offering from Nvidia. Pricing is, quite reasonable, and there's a free tier, no extra hardware or game costs, and those who've tried the beta seem quite positive about the experience, so we'll see how this goes over time. Couple of shorter topics to round out the episode as usual. Firstly, VMware have changed their licensing scheme, and it's set to hurt customers of AMD's EPYC processors. Previously, VMware charged per CPU, so anything from an 8 to 32 to 64 core CPU would require a single CPU license for their software. As of this announcement, CPU licenses are limited to 32 cores, so anyone using a CPU that has more than 32 cores will now have to buy a second CPU license. Right now, this is going to impact those who have or are planning to use AMD's 64-core EPYC Rome processors, as well as anyone thinking of using Intel's upcoming 56-core Cooper Lake models. VMware apparently thinks this new licensing model gives their customers greater choice, which is kind of laughable, as the only thing it does is charge customers more money in some situations. But you can also see where they are coming from. As CPU core counts grow, VMware will sell fewer per CPU licenses for a given amount of performance, so naturally it's going to be in their best interest to require multiple licenses for high core count CPUs. Not a huge surprise they've done this, but a bit annoying for those in the server markets. More motherboards have appeared at the EEC. This time we have a whole bunch of Gigabyte B550 motherboards, plus a few more Z490 boards. Again, no word on when either of these products will actually hit the market. Our current guess is still B550 around Computex and Z490 around March to April, when we might see those new Intel Comet Lake S processors. However, this news does continue to confirm that new motherboards are indeed on the way. MSI also has a new monitor. It's called the Optix MAG322CR. It offers a 32-inch VA panel at 1080p with a maximum refresh rate of 180 Hz. Bit of an interesting combination there. There's a large panel, but it's still 1080p, plus it's 1500R curved and has a high refresh rate. Not sure what the target market is for something like this, but it will be available in the coming months for $330. That's it for this one. As always, you can subscribe to get this episode in your inbox every, Friday to Thursday for this one, but Friday usually. Of course, you can also subscribe to get that review video that'll be coming up tomorrow. Definitely worth subscribing for that one, I think. What else? You can, join the Patreon if you're interested in that. You can, get our access to our live streams, our Discord, all that sort of thing. We also have merch available. Links to that are in the description below, and I'll catch you in the next one.